What's going on, everybody? It's Wheels Up Garrett, and today I am going to be giving you guys a video on how to travel China. This is going to be the second video in my series of how to travel, which is a new series that I started, just basically covering each country that I've been to and diagnosing it, breaking it down so it gives you the best way to travel if you've never been there, and kind of like a plan of action based on what you want to see, and just giving you some experiences from where I've been. And today, as I mentioned before, we're going to be covering China. So China's an interesting country. It's one of my favorite countries in the world. I spent a year abroad there back in 2016. It was my study abroad in high school, and then I've been back twice since to visit my host family. And I have a lot of love for Chinese culture and traditions, and I've always kind of been infatuated with the country. But yeah, so I've been a handful of times. I haven't been to a lot, like many different parts of the country, but I have been to the north quite a few times, and then I've been to Hong Kong, which I know it's up for debate whether Hong Kong's different or not, but I'll get into all that. So I've personally, and I have some notes on my phone that I'm going to be following along just to kind of keep on track. So the airports, there's multiple airports you can fly into depending on where you are in the world. For the US, mainly Beijing, Shanghai, Chengdu, Hong Kong, I believe Shenzhen, and I believe that's the main places that you're going to be able to get to from the US. Obviously, if you're abroad, there's many different places that you can fly to from China depending on where you are, if you're over in Asia, etc. But I have spent a lot of time in Beijing, and in particular I studied abroad in Tianjin, which is about 90 miles to the east, right on the ocean there. And it's a pretty big city. It's considered an average city in China, although there's about 15 million people there. And it's very big culture shock. The whole internet situation I want to get into first, on as far as what to expect, because I know there's a lot of speculation, rumors and stuff, like as far as what's blocked and what's not. So you do need a VPN in order to access Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Snapchat, all of that stuff. So before you do go to China, download a VPN. I have a VPN on my phone I'll look at real quick. I have like 3 different ones. I have Surfshark. No, I'm not sponsored by them. I know a lot of travel people are sponsored by them. It's not a shout out to Surfshark, but that's one of the ones I have. That's a subscription one. VPN Proxy Master, and then VPN Super Unlimited. Those 3 are the ones I have on my phone. There's tons of different VPNs, but that'll give you a good, I would download multiple ones so that you have a good chance, in case anything's wrong with one, of connecting to the network when you're over in China. Additionally, I would test it out before you go there too. So, and then keep in mind, you're not going to be able to download a VPN while you're there. Secondary is Wechat. Wechat, I'm sure most of my Chinese followers know what it is. And it's just a chatting thing. It's literally spelled W-E, like we, and then chat. And it's kind of like Chinese Facebook. You can see here, it's just a ton of different messages and stuff. It's not focusing on my phone, but it's just a bunch of messages and stuff, and it's not affected by the whole VPN thing. So like worst case scenario, if you download WeChat and someone else from wherever you're from does, you can chat on there, video chat, etc. There's Wi-Fi everywhere there too. Like I said, as long as you have the VPN, it'll work fine. There's Wi-Fi and internet. Obviously in rural parts of China, no, but in the cities it's pretty modern. So as I was saying, I spent a majority of my time in Beijing and Tianjin. Things to do in Beijing: Great Wall, Forbidden City, the Olympic Stadium, the Eagle's Nest, I believe it's called, or Bird's Nest. Super cool. That was one of the coolest experiences, in my opinion, that I've had in the country. I mean, obviously the Great Wall, in and of itself. There's a lot of different parts of the Great Wall you can go to depending on where you're at. I actually went to a different part of the Great Wall that wasn't outside of Beijing. That was near, I was in the northeastern part of the country on the sea. We went up there, but I believe it's about an hour, don't hold me accountable for this, but I believe it's about an hour and a half from Beijing to the Great Wall, and that obviously is like one of the biggest tourist things that is in the entire country. Forbidden City, again, huge, as well as Tiananmen Square, and the Olympic Stadium. Like I said, the Olympic Stadium isn't as big, but I highly recommend doing it. They do tours, and you can go walk around. So I think it was super cool, because I remember that was one of the first Olympics I ever watched as a kid, was the 2008 Beijing Olympics. So it's kind of interesting. And then moving south to Hong Kong, Victoria Peak and the Big Buddha are two huge attractions. Really, really cool. I hiked the Big Buddha by myself, and it was really cool. There's like views all out over the ocean and the islands behind this giant Buddha. I believe it's the biggest Buddha in the world. In Victoria Peak, I'm sure if you watched any movies, like I know for a fact in Rush Hour, those movies, there's multiple views from Victoria Peak, and then honestly probably any other movie that's shot in Hong Kong, Victoria Peak's a big one. So those are kind of the things that I know to see from where I've been in China. It's such a big country. It depends what you want to see. I know in Chengdu, they have pandas and super spicy food. My host parents have told me that. I know Shanghai is like a big business enterprise, and it looks really, really awesome. It's kind of interesting. They have their own dialect there of Chinese. And yeah, Shanghai is going to be right on the sea too, about in the middle of the country, halfway down the coast. And then obviously in the west is super rural with like mountains and stuff like that, like obviously Tibet and things of that nature for hiking and stuff. So it really depends where you want to go in the country for what purpose. Beijing is very big. You're going to see a lot of tourists. And it is a bit dirty, but it's honestly one of my favorite cities in the world. And yeah, but just a point of note, you can take like trains around, but there's not a whole lot of tourists outside of like Beijing, Hong Kong, and Shanghai. Like as soon as you leave the not even major cities, but like the landmark cities, you're not gonna see as many tourists. So don't be shocked if people like take pictures of you or ask for pictures and stuff, because they're not super used to seeing tourists in the places outside. But next, places to stay. This is kind of a hard one for me because I didn't really stay at a hotel or anything. I stayed with my host family, but I know Airbnb is a thing, and as well as hotels. In Hong Kong, obviously I did stay in a hotel while I was there. They're pretty reasonable. Just kind of depends on the time of year, but that's going to be your best bet for accommodations. And I believe there are hostels too for like young solo travelers or just solo travelers in general. Currency, they're going to have the Chinese yuan, and the reason I don't like to put conversion rates is because I know the currency exchange is always changing, so I'm not going to put that here. If you Google it, it'll be the first thing that comes up, and you can convert it just so that you have more of an accurate representation for when you go there, because it could have been different when I was there or right now is whenever you get there. To enter the country, obviously you need a valid passport as well as a visa. I have a multi-entry 10-year visa that allows me to get in and out of the country for the next 10 years. That can be found, it's a bit of a fee, and you need to send in little pictures and stuff for your passport thing, but it's about like a 4-week process, and it'll be done at a Chinese consulate in your country. I know in the United States, I believe there's a Chinese consulate in DC as well as New York, or embassy, sorry, I don't know why I said consulate. Maybe it's the same thing, I don't know. And ways to get around in the country. So trains, there are a lot of high-speed trains from Tianjin to Beijing, which is from my host city to the capital, super quick and efficient. And I know there's trains throughout the country you can take, as well as taxis. The thing that's kind of interesting about the whole taxi situation is they have a thing there called Didi, which is a Chinese app, and there's no, to my knowledge, there's no way to like put like a non-Chinese credit card on there and to convert Chinese to any other language. I speak Chinese, but even like some of the stuff is like really complicated on the app. So your best bet, in my opinion, is the subway system, trains, and then flagging down a taxi. The whole Uber thing, I don't know. It's a little funky. Especially, it's just the whole VPN situation. Food. So food, honestly, China has some of my favorite food that I've had in the world. You will eat some pretty bizarre things. I've had like raw squid on the street, to chicken feet, to pig feet. But it also has, you have to be willing to try, just be willing to try different things. But they have some of the best dishes in the world, and the food, everything there is relatively cheap compared to, obviously my views from the United States, it's pretty cheap. So you're not gonna be struggling to pay for food and stuff. It's cheaper than it is here, for sure. I'm trying to think. So Hong Kong, as I discussed, I did stay in a hotel there. Hong Kong is different than Beijing and mainland China. You're not going to need a VPN, as well as the public transport is incredible. It's cleaner, it's very modern. Everybody there is going to speak English as well as Cantonese, and it's just really awesome. It's one of my favorite cities in the world. It's just awesome. If you're a city person, it's like a dream come true. There's shopping, and there's hikes too. It's not just city. There are hikes outside of the city and stuff, so that's cool. And then, yeah, so the way to get to China, I would say, obviously, is to fly. I believe you can take trains, don't hold me to that, from bordering countries, but I don't know for sure. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I have any other tips for you guys. The do's and don'ts. In the rural parts of the country, I wouldn't really recommend drinking tap water. I'd try and drink bottled water. As well as in the northern part of the country, once you get out of the cities, it's going to be more like mountainous, near the Great Wall and stuff. I have been outside of the city there, and but overall, China is honestly just one of my favorite I almost said cities, one of my favorite countries in the world. I can't recommend it enough. If you have any questions, comment below, and I can answer anything for you. I've spent quite a majority of my time in China, so I can speak very wholly on it as a whole. For anyone that has questions, that's about all I'm gonna cover. I'll see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for tuning into this one, and let me know which country you'd like me to do the how to travel next. Comment below. I'll see you guys soon, and there's some big plans for the summer coming up, some travel. I don't want to tell you guys where I'm going. I want it to be a surprise, but 3 new countries coming in May 2021, so I'm excited for that. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.